this book. So welcome everyone, Hare Krishna. So very excitedly, we are beginning the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, starting today. And 10th chapter is called
Vibhuti Yoga.
Yeah, Vibhuti Yoga, otherwise known as
Opulence of the Absolute.
The opulence of the absolute.
Yeah, so Vibhuti means opulence. All right. So what I said I would do last week and what we like to do before we begin each chapter. Well, first we should go to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Vadhaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swanti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vipaline Nivasisha Shunyapadi Pashtatari Satadri Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktananda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Okay, so there's a Gita Mahatmya, as we know. It describes the glories of each chapter. So we'll just read through that. It's kind of relatively short, but this glorification has quite a few individuals that are mentioned. So try and follow the story as much as we can. I just read it through beforehand. And this is, so Gita Mahatmya is Lord Shiva speaking to Parvati. And he says, okay, we're ready? My dear Parvati, excuse me, I will now relate to you the glories of the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, as related by Lord Vishnu to Lakshmi Devi, which in itself is a stairway to the spiritual world. Okay. So once upon a time in Kashipuri, there was a Brahmin of the name Dhira Buddhi, who was as dear to me as Nandi. So this Shiva was speaking. Nandi, my carrier. He was always peaceful, and all of his senses were fixed in glorification of Lord Krishna. Wherever he would go, I would follow him with great love, so that I could protect and serve him. Seeing my activities, my eternal servant, is an interesting name, Bringi Ridhi.
Bringi.
Bringi Ridhi. Your name is Bringi Ridhi Das.
Nice.
My eternal servant, Bringi Ridhi, inquired of me, what kind of austerities and other pious activities has this great devotee performed that you are personally rendering service to him? So that's Lord Shiva. Personally rendering service to Bringi Ridhi. Hearing Bringi Ridhi's inquiry, I replied as follows. Shiva replied, once in Kailash Parvata, in the garden known as Punnag, I was enjoying sitting in the moonlight, and suddenly there was a great wind which caused the trees to shake with a very loud noise. Suddenly, a shadow was cast all around, as if a mountain was moving. Suddenly in the sky, a large bird in the color of a rain cloud appeared. Due to its flapping of its wings, it was causing the trees to shake and the dust to swirl around, a bit like a helicopter landing, yeah. Suddenly the bird landed on the ground and offered his respects to me, and also one beautiful lotus flower, after which he said, "O Mahadev, all glories to you, the shelter of all. There is no limit to your glories. You are the protector of the devotees who have control over their senses. And you're the foremost of all devotees of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Great souls such as Brihaspati are always chanting your glories. But even the thousand-headed Ananta Shesh is not able to fully describe your glories. What to speak of a bird like me with such small intelligence?" After hearing the bird's prayer, Lord Shiva inquired, "Who are you, and where are you coming from? You look like a swan, and your bodily color is that of a crow." So, form of a swan, but the color of a crow. The bird said, "Please understand that I am the swan carrier of Lord Brahma, and the reason for my body having attained a black color, I will relate to you." So there's quite some turns in this story. It might be difficult to follow it, but let's try our best. Just close to Surashta, Surat, there is one beautiful lake from where this wonderful heavenly lotus came from. I have been enjoying there for some time. This is Lord Brahma's swan carrier. I've been enjoying there for some time. Just as I was flying off from that place, I suddenly fell to the ground and my body took on this black color. At that time, I was thinking to myself, how have I fallen down? And how has my body, which was white like camphor, turned black? While thinking in this way, I heard a voice coming from the lotuses in the lake. "Oh, swan, get up. I will tell you the reason why you fell down and your body turned black." At that time, I got up and went to the center of the lake, where there were 5 extraordinary beautiful lotuses, out of which came a very beautiful lady. After circumambulating her, I inquired as to the reason of my falling down. She replied, "Oh, black swan, while you were flying, you flew over me, and due to this offense, your body has now become black. When I saw you fall down, I felt sorry for you, thus I called you here. When I opened my mouth, the scent emanating from it was able to purify at one time 7,000 black bees, who immediately attained admission into the heavenly realm. My dear king of birds, the reason I have such power, I will tell you." All right, so goes another direction. Previous to this birth, 3 births before, I was born in a Brahmin family, and my name was Sorodvadhana. My father had always instructed me in the principles of chastity, and when I got married, I served my husband very faithfully. One day, I found a maina, a black bird, and due to looking after it, my service to my husband became affected, for which he became angry. Everyone's following still? He became angry and cursed me. "Oh, sinful woman, you will become a maina in your next birth." In my next birth, I became a maina, black bird. But due to my following the principles of chastity strictly, I managed to come in contact with some sages who kept me at their ashram. One of the sages' daughters used to look after me. While staying there every morning and evening, I would hear the recitation of the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, due to which, in my next birth, I attained the body of an apsara in the heavenly planets of the name Padmavati. One day, I was traveling in a flower airplane when I saw the beautiful lotus flower on this lake. Coming here, I started to enjoy in the water. At that time, Durvasa Muni arrived and saw me completely naked. Oh, look out. Being afraid of him, I immediately took on the form of 5 lotuses. My 2 arms became 2 lotuses, and my 2 legs became 2 lotuses, and the rest of my body became the 5th lotus. From the Vasa Muni's eyes, fire started to emanate. He gets quite angry, doesn't he, Mr. Vasa Muni? I really hope he doesn't come for a feast at our temple and he can't sit down anywhere. He has to queue up for Bashadam. Because from the Vasa Muni's eyes, fire started to emanate. "Oh, sinful one, you will stay in that form for 100 years. Right. After cursing me, he immediately disappeared. But fortunately, I was able to remember the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And today I have become free from the curse due to your crossing over me. You fell to the ground and your body became black. But if you hear from me the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, you will be able to become free from this situation. A little bit more. After Padmavati had completed reciting the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, she left in the airplane for Vaikuntha. After that, I came here and offered this beautiful lotus from that lake to you. So going back to the
Lord Shiva.
Shiva. Lord Shiva said, after that black swan completed his story, he immediately gave up his body and took birth in the Brahmin family as Dhira Buddhi, who from his childhood always chanted the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So that's the Dhira Buddhi who Lord Shiva would protect and follow. Yeah. And whoever would hear that chanting from him would attain darshan of Lord Vishnu, who is holding, someone wants to come in, admit, who is holding the Shankra and Chakra. Whoever would hear that chanting, whether they are fallen and addicted to intoxication, or even killers of brahmanas, they would attain the darshan of Lord Vishnu, who is holding the Shankra and Chakra. For that reason, my dear Bringi Riddhi, I'm always serving Dhira Buddhi, my dear Parvati. Whether one may be male or female, sannyasi or grihastha, in fact, whatever situation one may be in, if he chants the 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he will attain the darshan of Lord Vishnu. So this is what the chapter we're going to be reading now, okay? If you happen to have killed a brahmana, this is a chapter for you. Hopefully not. Okay, it's quite a statement, though, isn't it? To kill a brahmana is one of the most simple things you could possibly do. But just by hearing 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you can become free from that sin and see Vishnu.
Also, like him flying over and falling down, that's like quite, without knowing you fly over, you know, the bird.
Yeah. Yeah, also it highlights, we don't need to digress too much. I'm just bringing up the Bhagavad Gita here. One second. That life in the heavenly planets is not exactly without its complications. You see, a lot of demigods become cursed. Yeah, because there is envy there on the heavenly planets, and there is there is envy, and there is the material qualities are present in the heavenly planets to some degree, not to the degree that it's here in the earthly realm, but still, demigods go through a lot. They get cursed maybe for 100 births. You know, then they may take birth as a brahmana. Then they may get cursed again. Anyway, the material world, the cycle of birth and death. All right. So we should head towards the spiritual world. Okay. All right. So let's. Oh, you can't see it, can you? I've got it on my screen, but you're not. So let me share the screen. Share screen. Here it comes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can see it?
Not yet. Yes.
There it is. Okay, here's the glorious 10th chapter of the Absolute. Now, let me just bear with me 1 minute. I just want to read again the connection between the 9th and the 10th chapter. Down, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay, this is from Gurujan, but he's quoting from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So at the end of the 9th chapter, Krishna described pure devotional service. And specifically, he was describing how he reciprocates with his devotees. That was towards the end of the 9th chapter. Yeah. So then he concluded with his most confidential instruction. What's that most confidential in instruction? The end of the 9th.
Surrender to me.
No, that's chapter 18. Perhaps you're thinking of that.
Thinking of me.
That's it. Man manamavat bhakto machiti mam namaskuru. A verse that comes 2 times in Bhagavad Gita, also in the 18th chapter. So he concluded that chapter with a very confidential instruction. In essence, Arjuna, just engage your mind in thinking of me and become my devotee. So now Krishna will continue to reveal the confidential essence of knowledge. Do you remember we spoke quite a bit about the second verse, Raja Vijaya Raja Goyam Pravidam Idam Ottamam. Yeah. So the essence of all knowledge, the king of all knowledge. So chapter 10 is entitled, as you know, the opulence of the absolute. So Krishna is going to describe further his opulences, his potencies, vibhuti, and position. Yeah. So this is where this is connecting the 9th chapter to the 10th chapter. Okay. So Madhu Mangopu, you have your hand raised there. So you can take us into the 10th chapter.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Chapter 10, the opulence of the absolute, text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bhuya Eva Mahabaho Shrinu Me Paramam Vacha Yateham Priya Manaya Vakshyami Hitakam Yaya. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna. Because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to your father, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." Purport. The word Bhagavan is explained as by Parasara Muni, one who is full in the 6 opulences, who has full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation, is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all 6 opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parasara Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter, he has clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion in firm conviction. Again in this chapter, he will tell Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. The more one hears about the Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place only among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefits, such discourses are taking place. Wow.
Okay. So any immediate questions or comments here? I could ask a question. So why is he speaking his opulences to Arjuna?
To help him to realize himself and take his duties and purify him.
Yes, that's true, but
Arjuna is a dear friend.
yeah, Arjuna is a dear friend, but just to increase Arjuna's devotion. He's going to explain his opulences and how great he is. So Arjuna is going to be astonished, and it's going to it's going to increase his devotion to Krishna. Yeah. So that's the principle of hearing about Krishna. The more we hear, the more we become devoted. So if we hear with attention, we can really appreciate that what's being explained, then the more we can become devoted. And Puja gives an example here. That's just, yeah,
But that's only in the association of devotees you're going to get more fixed
yeah, of course.
and not hearing from other sources.
Yeah, because they give or what they explain about Krishna maybe is very questionable. So we should hear Bhagavad Gita as it is. So how does knowing Krishna's opulences increase one's devotion? So imagine discovering that an intimate friend is really a famous billionaire. He's so powerful that when he snaps his fingers, it's a bit of a mundane example, but to help us understand, people line up in their eagerness to serve him. And we then realize what a wonderful friend we have. Our understanding his opulence and power has naturally enhanced our appreciation of him. We feel fortunate to be friends with someone so great. Similarly, when a devotee understands Krishna's greatness in detail, he feels increased gratitude for the good fortune of being able to reciprocate intimately with such a great and powerful Lord. Yeah. So that's one of the causes of a great ecstasy of appreciation for the devotee. Because Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is reciprocating with the tiny little jiva. The one becomes very appreciative and very humbled. Very rare thing. Say if someone is famous or someone is very powerful and very powerful and very famous, normally they're not going to exchange with someone insignificant. Yeah, they always move in higher echelons of society. So they might not reciprocate with someone down there, with someone, say someone in a great factory complex who's a cleaner. You understand? Trying to get a bit of a mundane example.
Like the president is not going to hang out with common men too much.
No, but Krishna, through the practices of devotional service, each devotee can experience Krishna's personal reciprocation. And that overwhelms the devotee. I mean, who are we to receive the glance, to receive the touch, to receive the blessings of Krishna? Yeah. So,
Example of Rukmini.
yeah, some of this Rukmini keeps coming up lately. For me personally, anyway, yeah, Rukmini. In what way, Rukmini?
Yeah, like she just from Narad Muni, she heard about
Yeah,
Krishna.
yeah,
And how
yeah.
she got attached. And in kind of a way, we have the same thing when we see day to day in our life. We see how Krishna is helping us. You can see Krishna's hand in things, and you sort
Yeah,
of
it increases our
what is Krishna doing?
devotion. So this is what this chapter is all about. Yeah. Rukmini. Yesterday happened to be Rukmini's appearance day.
Yeah.
And I was giving the Sunday class in Crawley on Sunday, and I ended up speaking about Rukmini. And I was very happy to see the next day was her appearance day. And I just and Rukmini's come, yeah, so Rukmini, he died. So she had a love which is called Purvarag, that she developed love for Krishna before she even saw him. Yeah, she would hear about his wonderful personality, his beauty, etc. So she became determined to marry him. So yeah, all right, Hare Krishna. So anyone know who's the son of Parashamuni. Rajkrishna knows.
Vedvyas.
Yes.
Vedavyas, yeah. 1 minute, yeah, so Parashamuni. So he's the one who coined this, if we're going to use that term, these 6 opulences of Krishna, where he presented this. It's nice to remember these. Does anyone know there's a Sanskrit verse about, but I haven't learned it. Does anyone out there know this Sanskrit verse that describes these 6 opulences? No, so nice to learn. So he's full in all strength, all fame, all wealth, all knowledge, and all beauty, and all renunciation. Yeah. Now, anyway, we won't just go into it too much, but all of these opulences, they all come from the prime. There's one prime opulence of which all the others kind of get their power of eternity from. Anyone can have a guess? Huh?
It has to be beauty.
His beauty, yeah, you guessed that. His beauty. Yeah, that's considered a prime attractive quality, and also full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation. So this is a description of Bhagavad. Yes, so okay. Anything else we can bring out here? Otherwise, we can read text 2. Yeah, this is like an introductory purple. Okay. All right, let's read text 2. Someone like to read text 2?
I can read.
Yeah. Oh, yes, you go ahead.
Go ahead, my Rajkishore. You spoke up first.
Name viduhu suragana prabhavam na maharshaya aham adirhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvasha. Neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and the sages. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna is a supreme Lord. No one is greater than him. He is a cause of all causes. Here it is also stated by the Lord personally that he is a cause of all the demigods and sages. Even the demigods and great sages cannot understand Krishna. They can understand neither his name nor his personality. So what is the position of so-called scholars of this tiny planet? No one can understand why this Supreme Lord, Supreme God, comes to earth as an ordinary human being and executes such wonderful, uncommon activities. One should know then that scholarship is not the qualification necessary to understand Krishna. Even the demigods and the great sages have tried to understand Krishna by their mental speculation, and they have failed to do so. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, it is clearly said that even the great demigods are not able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They can speculate to the limits of their imperfect senses and can reach the opposite conclusion of impersonalism.
Could you read it again? Reach the conclusion. You got there in your audition, the opposite conclusion?
The opposite conclusion of impersonalism,
Okay.
of something not manifested by the 3 qualities of material nature. Or they can imagine something by mental speculation, but it is not possible to understand Krishna by such foolish speculation. Here the Lord indirectly says that if anyone wants to know the absolute truth, here I am present as Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am the Supreme. One should know this. Although one cannot understand the inconceivable Lord who is personally present, he nonetheless exists. We can actually understand Krishna, who is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, simply by studying his words in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The conception of God as some ruling power or as the impersonal Brahman can be reached by persons who are in the inferior energy of the Lord. But the personality of Godhead cannot be conceived unless one is in the transcendental position. Because most men cannot understand Krishna in his actual situation, out of his causeless mercy, he descends to show favor to such speculators. Yet, despite the Supreme Lord's uncommon activities, these speculators, due to contamination in the material energy, still think that the impersonal Brahman is a supreme. Only the devotees who are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord can understand by the grace of the Supreme Personality that he is Krishna. The devotees of Lord do not bother about the impersonal Brahman conception of God. Their faith and devotion bring them to surrender immediately unto the Supreme Lord, and out of the causeless mercy of Krishna, they can understand Krishna. No one else can understand him. So even great sages agree. What is Atma? What is the Supreme? It is he whom we have to worship. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. So any curiosities, comments here?
Yeah, even the
Well,
demigods and great sages have tried to understand Krishna. And
Yeah.
we've seen so many examples, you know, have Brahma.
yeah, that was my question. What is it that confuses people? So go on, Mother Chandravali, about Krishna.
That,
Yes.
like in Brahma's case, he was thinking like, what, this little coward boy, how
Yeah,
can he be doing all these things? So in the same way, when he came to this earth, like Shishupal, and there were others who didn't recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
yeah.
And
he-
even now, and just the normal thinking, like we've seen like little videos as well, when Krishna comes in somebody's house or a shop or a temple or something.
Shop.
He's not as a Supreme Person of Godhead, just an ordinary beggar or something like that. We don't recognize things. We wouldn't, because we're not purified. And then he's like, you know, I'm just seeing one video that I'd seen, a little video, you know.
Yeah.
Mine.
Yeah, sometimes Krishna will cover his actual position by using his yoga maya potency, so that even his devotees do not recognize him. And there's many leelas and pastimes, even to the extent his potencies, even in the presence of Radharani, he can disguise himself as a demigoddess. There's one fascinating leela like that. But specifically those who are not devotees of the Lord, he can be quite a confusing character. And Chandravali's brought up one. So in other words, with Krishna, okay, so everything is emanating from him, everything is coming from him, but then he takes birth from Mother Devaki. I think Queen Kunti brings this up, the inconceivable aspect of Krishna. Yeah, and also he acts as a darling reading here of Yasoda Devi. So Yasoda Mai is tied up Krishna length after length. We know the story. Yeah. So Krishna is inconceivable for many, but for us, we have in one sense we're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, so we can quite readily and easily appreciate, isn't it, and understand Krishna. At least to some degree, we can. But many persons can't. Just like I was just thinking this through before we opened up today, is that here is Krishna, here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, here is God himself. And everyone, well, not everyone, but many people would very much like to see God. Even atheists, they have that challenge, yeah? Many persons would like to know God and see God. So here he is. Here he is present. Here is Krishna. This is what he looks like. This is what he does. But most people will not accept because they don't understand, because they're not devotees. They cannot accept. So so it's the same with the demigods and the great sages. This verse describes it. Yeah, they can't understand because he is the source of them. So they have limited knowledge. So they cannot understand. Has anyone seen that? There's this video where Prabhupada is one of my favorite videos, a clip of Prabhupada, where he is in Los Angeles, and there's different religious scholars there, Christian scholars and clergy. You know, the devotees have brought them to meet Prabhupada. And they're sitting there, and Prabhupada comes a bit late. And he comes and he's got this chadar over him. He sits on this chair and he's very aristocratic. Prabhupada's very aristocratic with his chadar on. He swings the chadar over his shoulder and he's sitting in front of all the leaders of the Catholic Church in Los Angeles, you know, the leaders of the clergy. Now, if I was asked to speak to those people, you know, I would have to do some preparation beforehand and, you know, and think of what to say and what not to say. You know, what did they call it? They call it interfaith. You know, interfaith, then you're quite polite with each other and you don't make claims of having possession of the absolute truth. That's the kind of the etiquette for like interfaith discussion. You know, you don't start saying my way's the only way, because you're trying to learn from each other. That's the idea. But Prabhupada's interfaith, mentioned this before, he put the chadar over his shoulder and he said, Krishna is God. Why don't you accept? Then there's a silence and all looking at each other. There's quite a long silence, like a pregnant pause where they're kind of they're shocked. Prabhupada, yeah, Kiri is Krishna. I forget exactly what he says, but then he's asking, why don't you accept? And then at some point, there's a scholar there who's already got a friendly relationship with Prabhupada. So he then starts to speak. Actually, and he starts to make apologies for those present not being able to accept that. That Prabhupada is so powerful. He has so much realization. They can say that. Yeah, so all right. So the common man cannot because most men cannot understand Krishna in his actual situation. So that's yeah. So therefore he comes of his causeless mercy and he shows his pastimes, but still, even though he comes and shows his pastimes, it's his devotees who have to teach and show who Krishna actually is, because people can't understand. Especially when we've got the Ras Leela, etc., and his relationship with gopis, that really confuses people. So we have to understand Krishna through the devotees. Yeah.
I'm listening to this.
Hare Krishna.
Where are they going?
Welcome, Naveel Rushton.
Yeah. God.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
You
Krishna.
can mute it while
Oh,
you're
sorry.
listening. It's okay, no problem. All right.
I
So,
was,
any further questions?
yeah, I was thinking of that play, the Bhaktivedanta Manners, to which we talked a little while ago, just a little while ago. The elephant through the eye of a needle.
Oh yeah, threading.
Like
Yeah, that's
Brahma
another.
really, oh, really? So Krishna did that, and I mean, if we hear it, yeah. And then Brahma is like, did you really go there?
Yeah, the Brahmana, yeah, he couldn't comprehend.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, all right, so what was he doing there? So he was being a bit sarcastic, really, to Narada Muni. I bet you didn't go there. So let you tell me what he was doing then. Ha ha ha. But Narada told him what the Lord told him to tell him. He's threading the elephant through the eye of a needle. So just see. Anyway, we know the story. We know the story then. The Brahmanas glorifying Krishna. So so Krishna is not so easy to understand. He's often misunderstood. Yeah, but so that's where the devotees are there to help people to understand and to take up a specific lifestyle by which Krishna can reveal himself to them. And then they will be able to appreciate and understand. Otherwise, he remains a mystery. Bhagavad Gita remains a mystery. Krishna remains a mystery. So so even, I think Prabhupada quotes here in the beginning of Bhagavatam, it said even the great sages and demigods are bewildered by this external energy. Yeah, God's a big, God is actually, it's amazing actually, even in today's age, God's a big subject of discussion. Trying us to, who is he, what is he, is he not? Yeah, so it's very difficult to understand, but by his mercy, he can be understood. Yeah, all right. Here, let's just read this last part. Only the devotees who are fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord can understand by the grace of the Supreme Personality that he is Krishna. The devotees of the Lord do not bother about the impersonal Brahman conception. Their faith and devotion bring them to surrender immediately unto the Supreme Lord. And out of the causeless mercy of Krishna, they can understand Krishna. No one else can understand him. But do we understand Krishna? See, Raj,
You can, Raj Kishore can say it.
Very difficult to understand Krishna. When you don't expect anything, something out of blue happens.
Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines.
You realize that, oh, Krishna did that. Thank God for that. Now I'm all right.
Yeah. Or why Krishna reciprocates with us, sometimes we may feel it, and sometimes he doesn't.
Yes.
How to understand how Krishna, and there's a whole chapter in one book, I think there in Bhagavatam, how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. It's very, and how to conduct ourselves in such a way that we can please Krishna and receive his grace and mercy. It's not like, we shouldn't take it for granted. So so we're devotees of Krishna, but still sometimes we may not understand Krishna. And it's impossible to understand him completely, isn't it? That's also there as well. We cannot possibly, as a man, we don't have the software to grasp Krishna completely. We just don't have the software or the hardware. We don't have it. But by his grace. And there's a verse I read recently, but even by one grain of his mercy, he can be understood to some degree. But anyway, okay, so we're highlighting this verse here. For neither the host nor demigods or great sages can know my origin or opulences. All right. So let's hear about some of these opulences. Now, Krishna's, though he cannot be understood, he's going to help us to understand him by describing his vibhutis. Yeah. So any last comment, question here on this verse in purple? Okay, yeah.
I think you do have, like, say, when you go into difficult situations, something you feel, oh, but why you want it like this? Why is it not happening? But then as you go past that stage, you realize why Krishna did what he did. And then you
Yeah.
start having faith in Krishna. So now you come to another point and you think, well, I need this, and why is Krishna not doing? Your mind turns back and thinks, okay, there's a reason why Krishna is not doing it. He, it's like a puzzle. When all the pieces
Yeah.
fit, he will sort out whatever needs sorting out, not just to please your senses, but whatever he decides is going to be the right thing for you.
Yeah, that's a very good good example. Just like in retrospect, when we've been through life, difficult episodes in life, and we look back, it seems to be just right for us to learn certain lessons. Yeah. So what Mother Chandravali is saying is that having understood that the present now, if it's a difficult situation for us, we should have faith that it's Krishna's arrangement. Because Krishna always has our best interest at heart. Now, we may not understand exactly the fine details, but of why we're going through a very difficult situation, but we understand Krishna's got our best interest at heart. So that would allow us to deal with the situation in a much better way. So you understand? So I think those have been practicing devotional service for a few years, but then we can look back in our lives and we can quite easily see how Krishna was helping us. Krishna is helping us now, right now in the present. Whatever situation we are in, it's there for our devotional benefit, even if it's a very difficult situation.
And it's the best outcome.
Yeah.
The best. Whatever we choose, when I want now, it's not gonna be
Yeah.
the same like when we really get something what you never would even believe or expect what you will get, like how he will help you.
Yeah. Now, even though we speak like this, when we're going through it, we might not immediately come to that conclusion straight away. We may complain and feel unjustly done with or dealt with. Anyways.
Because it's very painful and we live through the senses. And senses, they are very smart how to make you feel and confuse you. And Maya is very nice. She knows exactly how to manipulate you in a way to make you feel that it's everything real and true, which it is, but still.
The main point we're trying to, from this verse here, is that Krishna, okay, we're devotees, but even for us, it's not always easily understood. Krishna. So only discussion amongst devotees we can get some understanding. All right. Let's have a look then at text 3. Perhaps who was that? That was Mother Lavangalataka. You can read this one.
Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yomamajamanadim cha vetiloka maheshwaram asumudasa martesyu sarva papai pramuchite. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme lord of all the worlds, he only, undiluted among men, is free from all sins. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Wow.
As stated in the 7th chapter, 7.3, Manusyanam Sahasrasu Kaschid Yatati Sitaye. Those who are trying to elevate themselves to the platform of spiritual realization are not ordinary men. They are superior to millions and millions of ordinary men who have no knowledge of spiritual realization. But out of those actually trying to understand their spiritual situation, one who can come to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the proprietor of everything, the unborn, is the most successful spiritually realized person. In that stage only, when one has fully understood Krishna's supreme position, can one be completely from all sinful reactions. Here the Lord is described by the word Aja, meaning unborn, but he is distinct from the living entities who are described in the second chapter as Aja. The Lord is different from the living entities who are taking birth and dying due to material attachment. The conditioned souls are changing their bodies, but his body is not changeable. Even when he comes to this material world, he comes as the same unborn. Therefore, in the fourth chapter, it is said that the Lord, by his internal potency, is not under the inferior material energy, but is always in the superior energy. In this verse, the words Veti Loka Maheshwaram indicate that one should know that Lord Krishna is the supreme proprietor of the planetary systems of the universe. He was existing before the creation, and he is different from his creation. All the demigods were created within this material world, but as far as Krishna is concerned, it is said that he is not created. Therefore, Krishna is different even from the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. And because he is the creator of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods, he is the supreme person of all the planets. Shri Krishna is therefore different from everything that is created, and anyone who knows him as such immediately becomes liberated from all sinful reactions. One must be liberated from
Large purple. Go on.
all sinful activities to be in the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Only by devotional service can he be known, and not by any other means, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. One should not try to understand Krishna as a human being. As stated previously, only a foolish person thinks him to be a human being. This is again expressed here in a different way. A man who is not foolish, who is intelligent enough to understand the constitutional position of the Godhead, is always free from all sinful reactions. If Krishna is known as the son of Devaki, then how can he be unborn? That is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. When he appeared before Devaki and Vasudeva, he was not born as an ordinary child. He appeared in his original form, and then he transformed himself into an ordinary child. Anything done under the direction of Krishna is transcendental. It cannot be contaminated by material reactions, which may be auspicious or inauspicious. The conception that there are things auspicious and inauspicious in the material world is more or less a mental concoction, because there is nothing auspicious in the material world. Everything is inauspicious because the very material nature is inauspicious. We simply imagine it to be auspicious. Real auspiciousness depends on activities in Krishna consciousness in full devotion and service. Therefore, if we at all want our activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the directions of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in authoritative scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or from a bona fide spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is the representative of the Supreme Lord, his direction is directly the direction of the Supreme Lord. The spiritual master, saintly persons, and scriptures direct in the same way. There is no contradiction in these three sources. All actions done under such direction are free from the reactions of pious or impious activities of this material world. The transcendental attitude of the devotee in the performance of activities is actually that of renunciation, and this is called sannyas. As stated in the first verse of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, one who acts as a matter of duty because he has been ordered to do so by the Supreme Lord, and who does not seek shelter in the fruits of his activities, anasrita karma phalam, is a true renouncer. Anyone acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord is actually a sannyasi and a yogi, and not the man who has simply taken the dress of a sannyasi or a pseudo-yogi.
Wow. Amazing purport. It's just amazing that people are going to be reading these purports in 1,000, 2,000 years from now. Yeah. This is just one purport, and there's so much in here. I mean, it's just hit 7 o'clock, but we started a few minutes late. So we'll just perhaps, if there's any comments or questions about this specific purport and verse, or anything, or perhaps to just ask something that struck you if you was listening nice and carefully, something which you heard or as you're reading that stands out for you. Lest everything stands out.
Just that there is nothing auspicious in the material world. It's a mental concoction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking that through as well when you was reading that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything further to say on that, Mother Lavanga? How's that?
Um,
Do you agree with
no,
it?
but like there are auspicious signs that you get in the body. Can they be either material or spiritual? Like your left hand, you know, you get quivering in your left side if you're a female body, quivering in the right side if you're a male. Does that work for both spirit? Because I know Rukmini got that left side like quivering when she saw the Brahmana coming
Yeah,
to
well,
the palace after he delivered the message. She felt auspicious signs.
yeah, that's mentioned in the Krishna book, the
Yeah.
physiological effects on the body, and it is there in the Vedas. There's there's Puranas, or there's aspects of the Veda which describes seeing certain things means a certain it means a certain thing's going to happen, auspicious or
Yeah, there are omens. I mean, I totally believe. Like someone saw, like when was it Akrura when he was going into Vrindavan, or was it Uddhava? Akrura. He saw the deer passing on his left
that's
side.
it. Yeah. And persons who have this knowledge, they can read into the signs around them. It also works the other way as well. We're speaking about perhaps more auspicious things, but for instance, the sages at Naram Sharanya and also Maharaj Parikshit could see signs of Kali Yuga approaching. All right, but let's just take these things that you're mentioning, Mother Lavanga, because these are in relationship to Krishna. And so in that sense, it's not a subject of the material world, because wherever there is Krishna, it's always auspicious. But putting that aside, if we dare, putting Krishna aside, which we shouldn't, but just on this point, everything that seems to be everything in the material world from absolute perspective is not actually auspicious. The whole place is inauspicious. Yeah. Just like if you have, there's two drunk people and someone gives them £50. So is that auspicious or not?
No.
For them, it's auspicious. But from an absolute perspective, it's completely inauspicious. So anything in this material world that's constituted of the three modes of material nature, it's being said here as inauspicious. You could, for instance, say if a young couple, they've been trying to have a child for a long time, finally they conceive and a child is born. Is that auspicious or not?
No, if they don't know why they are making the child.
In one sense, subjectively, on the material platform, it's good, it's auspicious. But objectively, these words, subjective and objective, I use them. But objectively, it's a birth in the material world, where one's going to have to grow old, get diseased, and die. And they're taking birth by dint of karma, and they're incarcerated in the material world. So from absolute perspective, anything going on in this material world is inauspicious. So it is here, someone imagines it to be auspicious, but actually it's inauspicious.
How could we deal with people then when we tell them, let's say, this philosophy, and they say, no, you need to be positive, you need to use this mentality of attractive, you're attracting things, you are manifesting things, you are all this nonsense.
Yeah, so what's the word? There's a word for someone who always sees doom and gloom.
Pessimist.
Pessimist.
Yeah, we have to have a bit of a pessimistic attitude in this world, but it so happens that it so happens, we are engaged in the most auspicious activity of a bhakti, of a devotional service. So we have a positive vision as well about this world as a coming from Krishna. So backtracking again, everything is inauspicious, but we have to preach with intelligence. That might not be the theme that we preach to someone when we're first telling them about Krishna consciousness. Yeah, everything's a forget, your affection to your mum, forget it. It's inauspicious. Affection for your parent, everything, because that will not attract people. We have to use our intelligence when we're preaching. You understand, Mother Mongol? So
yeah, it can be a tough pill. It can be a very tough one, especially with trying to still follow the path, and in the same time seeing your family that you are changing and doing all these weird things, preferring to sleep on the floor or eating with the hand when they are coming from a society where they need to use fork and knife, or it's
slightly, so you have to slightly different subject, but we have to learn how to you have to learn how to preach and share Krishna consciousness. But many people today, not just today but in the past, many people are concluding that this material world is a horrible place. There's so many difficulties, there's so many catastrophes, there's so many setbacks. And so a lot of people, it's not so far away from their understanding, this material world. But we have something positive, that this human form is rarely achieved, and with this human form, we can become Krishna conscious. So Prabhupada, what did he say? We make the best use of a
bad bargain. But in the same time, Krishna came on planet Earth in Vrindavan, and his pastimes are even now going on.
So that's the positive that we have to share with people. All right. And tomorrow is a very auspicious day. Despite being in the material world, it's a very auspicious day. Tomorrow is the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev and the disappearance of Hiranyakashipu. All right. So let's pause there. Nice to get into the 10th chapter. And what I was going to say, so please, we'll be using this link from now on for next 20 readings that we have. Tomorrow there won't be a reading. Normally have Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but tomorrow we'll be busy with celebrating the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev. So the next one will be next Tuesday. All right. So
are we using the same link for all the classes? Sorry for interrupting.
Just for Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, thank you.
So
tomorrow is a very auspicious day. Okay.
Prabhu, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
On behalf of Alta Mataji. She's asking why there are metal bars between deities and people in the temple. I thought I'd better ask you.
1 second, let me just...
So you don't steal the deities and run away with them, because
no, I know it's my perspective, but I thought you have maybe more elaborate on.
Well, that's Prabhupada's specific instruction that he gave after some of the deities in our temples were attacked by demons and atheists. Even Londonishwara, that we don't wish to say it's very inauspicious, but in the Prabhupada's time, someone came into the temple room and pushed Londonishwara over, so they had to be fixed. So that's basically why, because of the times we're in and the place we're in. Any mad person can come, any crazy person can come and go on the altar and could pull it and damage. So that's basically why, for the safety of the deities. It's not so Krishna can't escape, or he's put him in a prison. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll pass it on. I'm sure she'll join next week.
So that's why it's for the protection of the deity, and it's a GBC law that all temples should have gates to protect the deities because of past experience. All right. Okay, so we'll pause there. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and please, Thursday we have Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So any Brihat Bhagavatamrita fans, please join us on Thursday. If not, we have Bhagavad Gita on Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, go to Premanande, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Okay.
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari.
And
Hare
Jagannath
Ram, 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 Hari Hari.
Vaishnavi Namo.